You can support us with the Super Thanks button below. In a war, gaining the upper hand in the airspace also gives a great advantage on the land front lines. Especially if this war is widespread and has global effects, the bird's-eye perspective will discover and destroy all enemies on land. The Ukrainian army is able to seize airspace superiority even though the Russians have a powerful air defense system, such as the Tor, the S-300, and even the S-400. So how does this happen, and how is Ukraine hunting down the Russian S-300 and S-400 and other air defenses one by one in the Crimea and its surroundings? Let's dive into the legendary operations of the Ukrainian Air Force. As Oracle Eyes, we strive to deliver the most striking news, collective and accurate information from the front to you as quickly as possible by working hard day and night with our expert staff. By subscribing to our channel, you can support this glorious struggle for Ukraine. The Ukrainian Air Force actually worked pretty hard for it. They added jet engines to the drones they used, thus greatly increasing both the speed and range of the UAVs. Thanks to these powerful drones, the Ukrainians were able to carry out striking offensive operations even against military targets in Russia. In this regard, we can especially consider the city of Belgorod. The Ukrainians carried out numerous drone attacks on the city on this border line. As you know, not only Belgorod but also Russian cities such as Bryansk, Kolomna, Voskresnek, and Krasnodar were shaken by the recent Ukrainian attacks. While Russia cannot even protect its own cities against the UAV attacks of Ukraine, we think that the Russian S-300s in Ukraine can no longer provide much function in air defense. Because in recent weeks, technical failures in some Russian S-300 air defense systems caused these systems to be sent back to the manufacturers. And if you are aware, the Ukrainian army has started to give more weight to airstrikes after this news. A very striking event occurred at this critical time when the Ukrainians realized that the Russians were short of air defense. Special forces of the Ukrainian Security Service destroyed the Russian Tor M2 and S-300 VM anti-aircraft missile systems using kamikaze unmanned aerial vehicles. It was claimed that these special units of the Ukrainian army used Bayraktar TB2 UAVs, which are Russian air defense systems destroyers, in these striking airstrikes. The TB2 unmanned aerial vehicles, which pose the greatest threat to the Russian S-300 air defense systems, are also the nightmare of the Russian Tor M2s. After this dramatic attack, Ukrainian forces took more control and increased the pressure on the battlefield. Another critical offensive operation on Ukraine's southern front lines has once again managed to deeply affect Russia. Ukraine's defense forces recently blew up Russia's control post, 6 manpower clusters, 2 logistics centers, 3 ammunition depots, and 6 electronic warfare stations. Repeated Ukrainian attacks had cornered the Russians on the southern front lines. Especially in regions such as Melitopol and Zaporizhia, the Ukrainians, in a sense, were winking at the Crimean Peninsula with such offensive operations. But will the powerful UAVs and Su-27, MiG-29, and Su-25 warplanes of the Ukrainians be enough to retake the Crimean Peninsula, the strategic center of the war? Of course, we should not only consider the Air Force of Ukraine in this regard, because the Ukrainian army has the potential to attack Crimea even now, thanks to its long-range missiles such as HIMARS and GLSDB. In addition, additional parts and development equipment for these missile systems will soon reach the Ukrainian army. On the other hand, the fact that even the most extreme cities of the peninsula, such as Yevpatoria, one of the Ukrainian cities close to Crimea, can be targeted, worries Russian military officials in Crimea. Currently, the rumors of the Great Crimean Offensive Plan of the Ukrainian Armed Forces have increased so much that the Russians encountering a disaster scenario here may completely change the course of the war in favor of Ukraine. Let's consider this scenario together. We have already seen many times that the Ukrainian army specializes in unmanned aerial vehicles. In addition, the Ukrainian forces have learned the strategic positions of the Russian air defense systems with the drone attacks they have carried out on the peninsula so far. Ukrainian leader Zelensky's statements also constantly point to Crimea. When all these data come together, a striking result emerges. The support of the Ukrainian army's attempt to take back Crimea with drone attacks and long-range missile systems will make it easier to take the peninsula back. In addition, in the video we asked you about this issue, we did not talk much about the warplanes of Ukraine. As you know, the Ukrainian Air Force has created a military force that is difficult to block by integrating AGM-88 HARM anti-radiation missiles into MiG-29 fighter jets. The Russian army still has not discovered a defensive measure against this superpower of the Ukrainian forces. We have not seen a successful defense example of the S-400, which is shown as one of the best air defense systems in the world, not the Russians' S-300 air defense systems. While the cost of 4 of the Russian S-400s is approximately $2.5 billion, it is also tragic for Moscow that Ukraine seized air superiority in this war. On the other hand, we should not forget the Western and US-based air defense systems of the Ukrainian army. The US's NASAMS, German IRIS-T's, and French Crotale air defense systems were like angels protecting Ukraine's skies since the beginning of the war. Now, a new aid package for the Ukrainian army is on its way. The U.S. administration announced a new $2 billion military aid package to Ukraine, which includes long-range missiles. The aid package also includes long-range missiles with a range of 150 kilometers. In addition, U.S. President Joe Biden, in the circular issued on his authorization to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, stated that he approved the delivery of $425 million of equipment, weapons, and ammunition to Ukraine from the inventory of the American Army. In addition to the aforementioned assistance from the Army inventory, the U.S. Department of Defense announced that $1.75 billion will be provided to this country within the scope of the Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative Fund, which is provided as required by law. The Pentagon shared the statement with the press, which includes the details of 2 separate aid packages, with a total of $2,175 million. In the statement, the weapons, ammunition, and equipment to be given from the U.S. inventory are listed as follows. Additional ammunition for HIMARS long-range missile systems, 155mm artillery shells, 120mm mortars, 190 heavy machine guns with thermal image sights to counter unmanned aerial vehicles, 181 mine-protected ambush-proof vehicles, 250 Javelin armor-piercing missiles, 2,000 armor-piercing rockets, claymore mines, demolition munitions, cold-weather gear, helmets, and other field equipment. On the other hand, in the list published by the Pentagon, it was also seen that within the scope of the USAI, long-range precision-guided rocket-powered ammunition with a range of 150 kilometers, also known as the Small Diameter Bomb or GLSDB, will be delivered to Ukraine. Other weapons and ammunition that the Pentagon will give to Ukraine within the scope of USAI are listed as follows. 2 Hawk air defense firing units, anti-aircraft guns and ammunition, equipment to integrate Western air defense launchers, missiles, and radars with Ukraine's air defense systems. In addition, the Pentagon provides equipment for maintaining Ukraine's current air defense capabilities, generators of air defense systems, anti-aircraft systems, 4 air surveillance radars, 20 mortar tracking radars. It will also send spare parts for radars used to counter artillery fire, Puma unmanned aerial systems, secure communications equipment, medical supplies, and funding for training, maintenance, and sustainment. With this aid package, the United States will have provided $32 billion in military aid to Ukraine since 2014. Of that, $30 billion has been made since President Biden took office on January 20, 2021. In military and financial aid to the Ukrainian army, the United States, which took the lead and continued to be the guarantor of Ukraine, set an example for Western Europe. In fact, thanks to the support of the West, especially the USA, the Ukrainians were able to continue their war against the Russians for such a long time. Russia's wear and tear on military ammunition brings the vital function of the military aid sent to the Ukrainian army to the fore. If the military aid sent to Ukraine continues, at least until the end of summer, it seems possible that the basic balances of the war will turn in favor of Ukraine, and that this conflict that threatens the world will even come to an end. We will see this together. We hope we were right in our guesses. Do not forget to express your views on this subject in the comments. You can support us with the Super Thanks button below. Please do not forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications in order to be informed about new videos. Our contents are carefully prepared by our expert team. This content belongs only to Oracle Eye's YouTube channel. We legally fight all channels, social media platforms, and websites that use our content without our permission. Thank you for watching us.